Well, in other big international news, Poland is raising the alarm as NATO members had to shoot down Russian drones over its airspace. This is the first time that a NATO member is known to have fired shots since Russia launched its war on Ukraine, triggering Poland's government to invoke Article 4 of the NATO treaty, which calls on members to consult on key questions about whether they believe the territorial integrity, political independence, or security of any of the parties of the alliance is threatened. Canadian leaders were asked if they think Russia intentionally targeted Poland.
That's a question that remains to be answered. There are some public pronouncements by Russia. There are some public pronouncements by Belarus authorities. I don't think we can take a lot of what comes from Russia right now at face value.
Sovereignty is the key issue on the table. The Russian drone attacks violated the airspace and therefore the sovereignty of Poland. Canada stands with Poland and all NATO allies in upholding the NATO treaty.
I'm joined now by the Polish ambassador to Canada, Witold Dzielski. Ambassador, it's good to see you again. Thank you for coming in on a busy day.
Good to see you as well.
Do you take Russia at its word? Does your country take Russia at its word that this was an accident? I guess that's a no.
It's a no.
Okay. I had to ask. I assumed as much, but I didn't want to make bad assumptions. The Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, he said this is the closest Poland has been to open conflict since World War II. I mean, just how significant are these stakes?
It's significant. And to answer your first question, it's 19 drones have come to the Polish territory, to NATO territory, in an organized manner throughout the night. We have not had anything like that before. They did not divert from the trajectory to Ukraine, and they were directed to Poland, and they were started and they took off in Belarus, and some of them were armed. Fortunately, the Polish and the Allied military were able to neutralize those drones which were to cause serious risk.
I mean, NATO planes were scrambled to shoot these things down, right? Yeah. That's how it happened. And now Article 4 has been invoked to have this conversation, these consultations. Is it your sense it could possibly escalate to the Article 5 standard? Is it that serious right now?
You know, our problem on the side of NATO is our rationality. We constantly believe, we as a group of countries, that there are certain restrictions to what Putin will do next. And whenever he moves a step further, and he always does, we always think, okay, there is now, it's farther is not really possible. But we, in Poland, we know very well that unless Putin is stopped, he will continue to move farther, and this is something that is quite well understood already within the NATO framework. That's why the alliance is so stands firmly together, also behind Poland.
President Zelensky said he believes this is Putin testing the limits of NATO. What do you make of that?
We are constantly being tested by Putin. Remember that it's not the first act of aggression that is taking place. The cyber warfare is taking place on the Polish territory, conducted by Russia for a number of years, not only on the Polish territory, but generally in the eastern flank. And this is very serious as well. We have had kinetic acts of aggression inspired by Russia, arsons and some other. So it's not a new thing, but the scale is definitely something new, and it requires serious consideration on the side of allies. And with this, I would like to thank our Canadian friends, top politicians, including Prime Minister Carney, Minister Anand, Minister McGuinty, for their quick, swift, very strong statements in support of Poland.
When you talk about the scale of it, put that in some context. I don't ask this question to downplay it, but 19 drones, right, is about the number. Yeah. Why is that of such a difficult scale or a significant scale? I know singular drones have gone into Polish airspace in the past. Why does the level of 19, why does that rise to such a level of alarm?
Well, because it's unlike the previous cases. You could try to. You will be able to suggest that the previous cases were not. Poland was not the target. It's just that those drones, rockets flew by mistake because there is a brutal, illegal, aggressive war operation conducted by Russia against Ukraine.
We've had a Ukrainian missile land in Polish territory in the early days of the conflict.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but again, this is 19 drones directed at NATO territory, at Poland. So in this regard, we cannot use other words than a large scale or a incomparable scale to what we had before.
So you think it was significant enough and direct enough to have been more meaningful than in the past, and obviously you believe is intentional.
It's both about the number of drone, the direction, their trajectory, and the intent, which it is a provocation. It is testing. Remember that right now, Russia is conducting their annual Zapad exercises, which are about testing capabilities of conducting military operation against NATO. And this is happening in this context. So it's yet another move. If it's sort of pushing the ball farther, testing how strong or how weak is the NATO structure. And we've shown our resolve. The Polish military reacted successfully. Nobody is killed. Some infrastructure is damaged. But also NATO showed its resolve because it's also the reaction of the allied militaries that supported our defense.
Do you have a sense of whether any Canadian assets, resources, troops were involved in the response here? We kind of asked the government today and they said they weren't sure and they would get back to us. Do you have any knowledge of a Canadian role here?
I don't have that knowledge. It does not mean that the Canadian military presence is not appreciated in our region, including Poland. It's very important, and we would like for the presence of allied troops in our region to be continuously strengthened.
President Trump's response suggested a growing frustration with Putin on this, saying that in Trump's way, he posted on Truth Social saying, "What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go!" Exclamation point. What do you make of that? I mean, they met, the two leaders, in an attempt to end this conflict. Since then, it's ramped up, right? Russia seems more intransigent than ever because the attacks on Ukraine have only escalated, and now we have this incident last night.
Well, I believe that President Trump has he has tried to do a lot in order to present some kindness to Putin, believing that would facilitate peace conversations and lead to peace eventually. I think that that there is a limit to this. President Trump represents the most powerful country in the world, and I don't think that he will allow for anybody, including Mr. Putin, to be played in such a manner.
So, just to bring it back to the question I asked earlier, invoked Article 4. But if you believe it was at scale and you believe it was intentional, this is where we get into the Article 5 territory, right? The attack against one is an attack against all. Only been invoked once after 9/11. I mean, are we potentially on this path?
I hope not. We all hope not. And as you've observed Polish activities over the last years and the Russian provocations, we are very cautious in reacting in too strong of a manner. Tomorrow there is a National Security Council in Poland, which includes the President, our Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, Defense, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Defense. and they will come up with a strong Polish position in this regard, but which will have to be consulted with our NATO allies. We are democracies. We talk a little bit more than Putin does. His decisions are probably easier, but are more rational and smarter.
Ambassador, we always appreciate the time, especially in a moment like this. Witold Dzielski, the Polish ambassador to Canada. Thank you, sir, for coming in.
Thank you so much.